I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people. Because they have no sources, they just make them up.
The president apparently talking about a New York Times story saying his campaign had numerous contacts with Russian intelligence.
I'm against the people that make up stories and make up sources. They shouldn't be allowed to use sources unless they use somebody's name.
A White House source, ironically requiring anonymity, says the chief of staff was told by an FBI official that the story was not true. But when Reince Priebus asked the FBI to say so publicly, the Bureau declined. And the president questioned the Bureau in tweets, saying the FBI is totally unable to stop the national security leakers. They can't even find the leakers within the FBI itself. And this morning, a Washington Post report saying the Trump administration reportedly tried to enlist other politicians to quiet the Russian stories.
First, on this issue of Russia and these investigations on Russia, is recusal by the Attorney General necessary? Is a special committee necessary?
Let's let the process work. I mean, the intel committees are looking into this issue. We've had some call for a select committee, some call for a special prosecutor. Let the intel committees work. If there's more investigation that's needed, I'm on the oversight committee. We've never been shy about digging into issues. We'll do that. No one's ever accused me of going easy on my own party.
We also heard from a key Republican member of Congress this week, Darrell Issa, who said that the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, must recuse himself from this Russia investigation. Let's listen.
You cannot have somebody, a friend of mine, Jeff Sessions, who was on the campaign and who was an appointee. You're going to need to use the special prosecutor's statute and office to take, not just to recuse. You can't just give it to your deputy. That's another political appointee.
That is a senior Republican, Congressman. What's your response?
Look, I think the real easy answer here is that the FBI has already said this story is BS. Those are their words, so I apologize to my mom. But literally, those are the words of the FBI, that this story is BS. They came to us. They approached us. We're putting that story out there. I think the American people deserve to know the truth, and that's exactly what it is, that there's nothing here. Just because reporters say something over and over and over again doesn't start to make it true. At some point, we get to a place where we've got to move on and start focusing on the things that the American people care about, and I don't think this is it. We've talked about it time and time and time again, asked and answered. Let's move forward. Let's start talking about the economy. Let's talk about education. Let's talk about border security. Let's talk about national security. That's what's keeping most Americans up at night. That's what they want us focused on, and that's what this administration is doing day in and day out.
A couple of things there. First of all, the FBI has made officially no comment. The FBI director, James Comey, has had no comment. You're saying that the FBI told you that it was BS. The FBI hasn't said that at all. But I was asking a different question. The FBI investigation is continuing right now. The intelligence committees are continuing their investigations right now. And the question at hand is it appropriate for the Attorney General to oversee that investigation? Here are the Justice Department guidelines. They say that no DOJ employee may participate in a criminal investigation or prosecution if he has a personal or political relationship with any person or organization substantially involved in the conduct that is the subject of the investigation. How can it be appropriate for a key member of the Trump campaign to oversee an investigation into the Trump campaign?
Look, George, we're confident whatever review that Congress wants to do, I think that's the first step. If they want to take that on, which there are two committees that are currently doing that, we're extremely confident that whatever review, they're all going to come to the same conclusion, that we had no involvement in this.
Let's bring in the Democratic leader of the House right now, Nancy Pelosi. Thank you for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
So you heard Sarah Sanders right there talk about this idea of a special committee looking into the Russia ties with the Trump campaign. Also, pretty much saying that there will not be any recusal, at least for now, from the Attorney General. Your response?
Well, as you read the law and saw the law, the Attorney General must recuse himself. But let's just take it back a step. You have seen a flurry of activities that are completely inappropriate, encouraging lawmakers, encouraging intelligence officials to say that something is one way or another. Let's have the investigation and find out the truth. And we've been calling, we have 100 now plus one Republican on Eric Swalwell's bill for an outside independent commission to study the personal, political, and financial relationship between President Trump and the Russians.
So far, these efforts have been quashed by the Republican leadership in the House, and you're getting some pressure from Democrats to go farther. Michael Moore put out a tweet this week. He said, tell your senators and House members now you want them to cease all business till they appoint a special committee on Trump and the Russians. He gave the phone number there as well.
And we start here with President Trump ramping up his attacks on the media overnight.
In a late-night tweet, the president saying, quote, fake news media knowingly doesn't tell the truth, a great danger to our country.
Yeah, this came just hours after the president spoke to a group of conservative activists saying reporters should not be allowed to quote anonymous sources.
But this morning, the Washington Post reporting the Trump administration recruited members of the intelligence community to counter stories about Trump associates, ties to Russia, and that some of those officials spoke to reporters anonymously.
A new call tonight for an independent investigation as President Trump battles the media and reports of ties to Russia.
We are fighting the fake news. It's fake, phony, fake.
The New York Times reported earlier this month the Trump campaign had numerous contacts with Russians connected to that country's intelligence community. Now, a senior Republican House member is calling for a special prosecutor to investigate, saying the Attorney General must recuse himself.
Jeff Sessions, who was on the campaign and who is an appointee. You're going to need to use the special prosecutor's statute and office to take, not just to recuse, you can't just give it to your deputy, that's another political appointee. You do have to do that.
Not only did the White House unsuccessfully ask the FBI to rebuff that report, tonight we've learned the White House also reached out to the Republican chairs of the intelligence committees, which are investigating such contacts, and asking them to talk to reporters. Representative Devin Nunes did, according to a spokesman. He told reporters he couldn't find evidence of the Times report. Senator Richard Burr, also contacted by the White House, did not comment, but his Democratic colleague Mark Warner says he has grave concerns about the White House effort.
Because Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said recently that it's highly likely that an investigation will be launched, a bipartisan investigation. We know these probes are intensifying, but the White House says that any insinuation about possible contacts between Trump associates and Russia, it's a witch hunt. What's your view?
Well, an investigation obviously will be launched. What's unsettling, to put it mildly, about the stories today are that one of the people or two of the people enlisted by the White House to try to knock down the stories are the Republican heads of the Senate and House Intelligence Committees. And those would be the bodies doing the investigations, unless they set up a separate commission, which they've said they don't want to do, that they want the intelligence committees to do the investigation. Well, if the White House already has the chairs saying there's no story here, what kind of investigation does that become?